What's up, everybody? It's Chad from Ask Chad Grassy Logic. I'm here today with my friends from Green Knight Nutrients Company. Oh, there's a couple of things with the company, but we'll get into that more. Today, we have a really great conversation. Last week, we had some really basics about growing. I had one of my buddies from Carlsbad come in, and he was a grower for out there. So we had a really good conversation. And this week, we're getting into nutrients. So without further ado, I'll let these gentlemen introduce themselves. So thank you guys for joining me.
I'm Dustin Hennessy. I am the sole employee of Green Knight Nutrient Co. This is my dad over here.
I'm Keith Hennessy, and I've formulated and designed all of our products.
Nice. Dustin, Keith, thanks you guys for joining me
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. And it's a pleasure having you guys here. I haven't had a nutrient, company or line anything on the show yet, so it's great that you guys showed up. And you guys are an upcoming company.
Right.
Can you guys tell me what who is Green Knight and where you guys came from and everything?
Yeah, so I've started with this just about a year ago now. My dad has been involved in agriculture for over 35 years.
Okay.
He's a formulator. He's worked for different companies, and he's taken some of his knowledge and designed some new products, some very unique products for the cannabis world.
Nice, cool.
Yeah.
And do you want to expand on that a little?
Sure.
bit?
Yeah. Just with my experience over the years, I've ran across things that we found that are successful.
Mhm.
We found things that are failures.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do here is, because the industry is changing so much,
Yeah.
we're trying to bring things in. It's more of a hybrid
Mhm.
for fertilizer.
Yeah.
And so that we can bring something to the table that's efficient, productive, helpful to the grower. It's a win-win for everybody at that
Yeah.
point then too.
No, definitely. Because when you grow cannabis, there's a lot that goes into it. I tell people you need good genetics, but you also need
Right.
really good nutrients as well. You can't have something like Miracle Grow.
Yeah.
You can't run something like that. And I've heard people like, oh yeah, I've used Miracle Grow. And I'm like, oh no.
Okay, we're done. That's my secret.
Oh no.
I'm just kidding.
It's like, oh no, cut it, we're done. We're exposed. Oh, that's funny. So where did the idea and everything come? Did you just see like an area needed for cannabis? Because there's really not that many companies that focus on just cannabis.
Well, being in agriculture, we started looking at the cannabis industry because, one, you see the amount of money that's being paid for products in the cannabis field.
Yeah.
So when we started looking at agriculture, you don't have that high of a margin of money being paid in.
Yeah.
So what we started looking at, basically, we did a 5-year research. We wanted to step into this the right way.
Nice. Okay.
So looking at it within the 5 years, we wanted to look at, see what are the primary nutritions that are being applied? What's the primary chelations that's being applied? What are the pHs that they're looking for? All these different scenarios. And we started looking at programs that were being recommended.
Yeah.
So my theory was to simplify a program available for the growers.
Yeah.
One of the things we had developed for our agriculture industry is we've developed a polymer. It's a liquid polymer, and it looks, our finished polymer, it looks like iced tea.
Okay.
It's really fine, or pale beer or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, like a dark ale.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
it looks just like that. But the focus, what we found is that we have determined ways that we can take phosphorus and calcium and add them together into one nutrient.
Okay.
So building on that, we were able to take not only phosphorus, but now we can do phosphorus, we can do zinc, manganese, magnesium, all these in conjunction with each other. And once that step was completed, and looking into the programs that were being applied in the field, we took and I wanted to make it simple.
Yeah.
So if you look at our website, it's product 1, product 2, product 3, and that what it does, it represents the growth stages of the plant. Because of the polymer, we're able to load that single stage with the nutrients that is needed for that specific growing time. And then, so your first, plant or product number 1 is basically right after transplant.
Okay.
You start feeding it.
Yeah.
This is what you want to feed. You want to grow the roots. You want to grow the stems. You want to make you're laying the foundation.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's basically how we really started getting into the industry besides agriculture within the cannabis industry. To me, there's opportunities because we are bringing things to agriculture that is very efficient. And I think the same thing needs to be done in the cannabis field too.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just
And just to piggyback off of what he's saying a little bit, when he said that we saw the amount of money being put into nutrients, we saw that it was a little bit more than what should be applied.
Oh, I agree.
So we didn't want to take guys for a ride. You
Mhm.
know, we wanted to try to come up with something that's cost efficient,
Mhm.
something that is nutrient efficient, that can allow for translocation, that can allow make it easier, right? Save money, and we'll get into it a little bit more, I'm sure. But you know, some of the things that our products have the capability of doing is, a lot of guys don't have to clean their tanks when they use it. You know, you don't have to go through and clean it after every single time. You just pour number 1 in, use it.
Yeah.
Pour number 2 in, use it.
So there's no like, purging out the lines or
No,
anything and cleaning
none of
anything
that.
out. None of that.
Yeah, we run a super clean product. The other things that we don't have to do, we don't have to run. They don't have to pH their water. I mean, pH test it, yeah, but they don't have to buffer it down.
Yeah.
Because our products are a low pH already. They usually bring it down to the right, and we can kind of adjust it a little bit to where we can spread out feedings to get the right pH
Mhm.
without having to add another product in.
Yeah.
Makes it easier. We don't have an A and a B.
Yeah.
Number 1 has NPKs, micronutrients. I mean, all of our products have NPK, micronutrients,
Mhm.
everything that the plant needs, and we're able to do that because of that polymer that my dad designed.
Yeah.
So it's a really unique product. I don't know of any others that are able to do all of those things in one product.
No, yeah, that's really interesting to hear about. And for the people listening, NPK stands for nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. The 3 major things plants need to grow and live and thrive. But there's other micronutrients and other macronutrients and other things that the plant needs to supplement with it. But those are the 3 main ones that we found out through NASA's research when hydroponics came around. So if you guys aren't too keen, if you're new to growing, that's what NPK means when it's spoken about. When we get into conversations, sometimes we use our lingo. We're like, "Oh crap!"
Yeah.
So I try to break it down and let
that's
the
good.
people know, what we mean when we're talking. So that's really great that you guys have this, this little system here and everything. So where are you guys from originally?
We're originally from California.
California, right? Yeah.
We're in the Central Valley of California.
Okay.
So we're in the heart of agriculture.
Yeah, definitely.
And in the community we live in, there is a lot of cannabis that is grown within our areas, and I've actually converted old packing houses into growing facilities.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it has changed some of the communities around there too.
Mhm.
And I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. No, that is, and that's cool. And where'd you come from?
So I'm originally from California.
Mhm.
I came here to New Mexico. I attended New Mexico State. When I graduated, my family wanted to move part of the business into Oklahoma.
Mhm.
So I moved to Oklahoma, and I've been working there, trying to establish some things. We've worked on some R&D out there,
Mhm.
research and development.
Yeah.
And then
There you go.
I'm getting it. Yeah. and then we're starting to push back into New Mexico.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's great. You guys, coming here because it's a newer emerging market, and it's very watched, nationwide.
Right.
I know people in other markets around the nation. I'm like, yeah, we're watching you guys. What you guys are doing,
Yeah.
and it's kind of historical what New Mexico has kind of done. We've taken what other states did that didn't work, and we decided not to do that.
That's
great. And then we took the things that do work and will work for New Mexico.
Mhm.
Because you can't approach New Mexico like any other state. We're different, and I tell people that. As soon as they get here, I'm like, whatever you knew about California's market, Nevada's market, Michigan's market, forget it.
Yep.
That does not work here. That's not the way it works here. And so it's great that you guys are bringing it here because we need more, and there's more grows popping up all the time here in the South, especially in Southern New Mexico. Albuquerque has all the dispensaries, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, anyway, I wanted to ask you guys, so is this an organic or non-organic, for the guys, who farm straight organics and non-organics or salts or whatever?
Right.
Can you give a breakdown of, what this nutrient line is?
So our products are non-organic.
Mhm.
They have organics in them.
Yeah.
But to talk a little bit about the salts, my dad will a little bit, but we don't have sodium in it. You don't want sodium in your plant, of course. But a lot of cations are salts, whether it's organic, inorganic, organic, anything.
And can you expand further on the cations for the audience?
Yeah, I'll let him go over the science
go
a little
ahead.
bit.
So our cations that we're working with basically is, and it depends on growth stage.
Mhm.
So what we do is we've matched the stage of cation, which could be zinc, iron, manganese. Manganese we're using more as a pre-development for the bud, just so that, in correlation with agriculture, what we found that correlating the timing of specific nutrients has a specific effect on the finish then too.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Especially with like crop steering.
exactly.
Yeah.
So and that's what we're bringing into this. Like in with the magnesium, we're doing that. Where there's one of the things you will not find in our product is copper or boron. And the reason I chose not to put those in is because there are waters out there, there are systems out there that could be toxic. We don't want to add that to that toxicity.
Yeah, yeah.
So if it's something that can be added, that can be a separate application.
Yeah.
Where it is just like if you are deficient in boron or copper, you make that application as an independent application.
Got it. Yeah.
So, but with that's how we have formed the micronutrients. And our base micronutrients that we're looking for is zinc, manganese, iron, zinc, iron. I got to go through all these here.
Yeah.
But, I'm sorry, man.
Oh, no worries. Yeah.
Okay, we got zinc, iron, magnesium, which is really not a micronutrient. It still kind of fits into the macronutrient line.
Yeah, we'll explain what the micro in a second.
And then we have our manganese and iron. I'm just blowing all this to pieces, aren't I?
No.
No, you're good.
No. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. And, there's so many separate parts. So the reason why it's kind of confusing, if you want to like touch on the macro real quick, so that way they get an idea of why it's like, wait, one is the other.
Yeah.
Well, and to go off of that too, there are 20 something total nutrients.
18 to
yeah. So
21
there's
nutrients.
it's hard to remember everything that's in our products.
Yeah.
I mean, but we have our labels. We have no problem showing people our labels. We try to keep an open book for everything that's in our product. So if anyone is interested, then contact us. We can send them our labels, SDSs, anything like that, so they can see exactly what it's in it and what it's derived from. Too.
Yeah.
So they
cool.
That way, to me, the derived from is an important part.
Yeah.
That's what's going to make us a little bit different, is because we don't have the EDTAs. We don't have specific chelators in there. We're focusing on the polymer to help with the translocation into the plant more effectively.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that's great to hear. So real quick, can you expand on the macro nutrients for the audience real quick?
So you're gonna make me say those micronutrients again?
No, just you don't have to name them. Just what they are. The versus why they're two different things.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the macronutrients are more of your predominant nutrients that are being applied for growth, which is nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, and magnesium is there too. But sometimes people consider that minor nutrient then too. But those are the 5 products that are primary for growth, and that's why it's categorized in that category then too. And then the micronutrients are more of the ones that if you're applying it, it's going to be applied in small amounts. It's micro.
Yeah, micro.
And so that's why you're applying those in that small amount, which is going to be. So let's see if I can get it right this time.
Okay.
Zinc, iron, magnesium, manganese, and then we also put in our products cobalt and molybdenum.
Okay.
Those are also in our products, just for a secondary uptake then too. So that's kind of the difference between the two then too.
Nice. Yeah, and thank you for the explanation, because some people would not really even to think that there's a difference. Like you have these predominant nutrients and you have these secondary, but these secondaries are smaller parts that the plant needs for an uptake.
Exactly.
Unlike the NPK and the other ones.
Yeah. And a lot of times, so in the agriculture field, when we're looking at your micros and your macros are going to be when you're looking at let's say you're doing a test result, you're going to look at those based in percentages.
Yeah.
Because that was derived around soil percentages, where the micronutrients are going to be based in parts per million.
Yeah.
So because those are derived from more of a water soluble field then too. And that's Did you want to talk a little more salts then too? Or?
Yeah. Let's talk
Okay.
about some salts too.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's great that we got that explanation. Let's talk
Yeah.
about the salts.
So the salts, I think, is, I know for a long time you're always dealing with people who use salts.
Yeah.
It's a very general term,
Mhm.
very general. And so what we're looking at in our nutrition, you're going to see we're taking our nutrition and we're balancing it.
Mhm.
So our balance is between anions and cations. That's how you move and remove nutrients throughout the plant. So when we're talking salts, a lot of your calcium chloride is a salt. We don't want chlorides,
Yeah.
but we do want calcium sulfates.
Mhm.
That's a salt too. So I mean, in general terms, really, the things we don't want is really sodium.
Yeah.
You don't want sodium, but sodium, if you do have sodium in your water, because potassium is so close in relationship with sodium, you could reduce the amount of potassium uptake with excessive amounts of sodium.
Mhm.
So seeing that this becomes a salt balance.
Yes.
So that's why when we're designing products, we want to take into consideration what could be in the water, what could be in the growing medias, so that we can balance it out or educate the growers and have balances out there too.
Yeah.
So really the things you don't want are basically sodium, but you don't want salts attached with chlorides. Now that's a different issue too, because chloride in excess can burn,
Yes.
especially with sodium or calcium. But chloride is also a nutrient that helps control disease. So there is that balance too with chlorides.
Mhm.
So I mean that's kind of a quick rundown of kind of how the salts are in relationship with each other.
Yeah.
How they're also in relationship with the growth of the plant too.
Yeah. So is your line like a liquid or is it a powder or
They're all liquid.
all liquid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And what do you guys recommend the medium that you use for your line? Is it friendly for everything or?
Anything as long as it doesn't contain nutrients on its own.
Okay. So like see Fox Farm. Someone's like using Fox Farm or something like that because it's already kind of pretty nutrient rich.
Pre-nutrient.
Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
unless it depletes, but
Right.
or it's depleted later. But yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
The only reason that we prefer the media to not have some kind of nutrient in it already is because we want to guarantee our product, right?
Mhm.
Not so that because there's other things in these plants they might start getting too much of nutrient.
yeah.
Our products are a complete line. They have everything that the plant needs from start to finish.
So it's more or less, you just fill the bowl up, put the nutrients in, it's ready to go.
That's it.
Yeah. So it's very hydroponic friendly. Is what
Oh,
I'm
It
hearing.
is.
Yeah.
Our,
Okay.
our products have no A and B.
Mhm.
You don't have to mix. You don't have to do special ratios for each stage. There's no, I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier, but we don't have a macronutrient that it's already in there.
Mhm.
Everything's put together already.
Yeah.
Nice and easy.
Nice. And can we go ahead and pull up the website and check it out? Yeah, let's check out the line real fast, and then we'll get to talking more about this. There we go. So we have the website here. Do you guys want to go ahead and give it a breakdown? You got your product line. I think this is the website with the nutrient line.
Yes.
If you want to go ahead and
Yeah.
give a breakdown.
So number one, like you mentioned already, is kind of the establishment post-transplant, roots and shoots,
Mhm.
right? Just getting everything ready to grow.
Yeah.
Number two is kind of where we're starting to really push into growth.
Okay.
Trying to get them to grow, get ready to flip over from veg to
Mhm.
flower.
Okay.
Number three is after you flipped over, now you're into flower.
Okay.
Your flower cycles, and
So
that's
the
just
first couple weeks.
yeah.
Okay.
So what we haven't broke down in ours is like an 8-week grow cycle, but it can be adjusted for any length of grow. We
Okay.
just adjust how long you're putting it in.
Okay, that makes sense because some cultivars are 8, some are 10, 11.
Yeah. So we can totally adjust that. That's no
Nice.
problem.
Okay.
So yeah, number three, we're looking at kind of our first stage flipping over. After flipping over, number four, we're getting into our early bud development.
Mhm.
And I'm just giving a general overview.
No, yeah,
He'll
definitely.
talk more about the details of each one in a second. But number four is where we really start pushing. And this is where you see a lot of your growth, a lot of like getting set up. Our whole concept is building blocks.
Mhm.
So number one, number 2, 3, 4, and so on are all building blocks for the next stage.
Yeah.
And for
Okay.
the next stage, and they stack
Mhm.
all to focus on the finished product, of course.
So the way you guys can think about it is just Lego building blocks. One leads to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other, till you have your tower.
Exactly.
And at the end, you have this beautiful plant. That's a great, explanation. And so, do you want to go through the rest, 5 and 6? Or?
Yeah, so 5 is once your bud starts, and then you're starting to see, your trichomes forming. You're starting to see all of these things. We're pushing a lot of sugars into the plant. So the way that these are blended is to try to drive nutrient uptake and push it into the bud. Right. And so, and like I said, each one kind of does this in different amounts based on the stage of the plant. And then, of course, our finisher. That's kind of the last thing we run. That's the end. And then harvest, of course. That's
the end, and enjoy after you.
The fun part.
Enjoy after you dry, trim, and cure.
Exactly. Hard work's over.
Yeah, exactly. Now you get to enjoy it. So thank you for showing me that. And this is their website. Do you guys know by heart?
Yeah, it's greenknightnutrients.com.
Okay, cool.
Night is spelled like a Knight,
like a battle night.
Yeah,
not nighttime.
Yep.
Gotcha. Speaking of, today is the summer solstice, and it's going to be the longest day of the year.
Very cool.
Meaning, outdoor growers, you're going to start seeing some flowers here in a couple weeks, because every day the day gets shorter about a minute. I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. So yeah, it has a 6-part, kind of thing, and then it's pretty much, if it's like an 8-week, you run about a week or two for everything essentially.
Yeah, so on an 8-week cycle, we're running each product for 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay, that makes sense.
And then the nice thing that we've designed our products around as well is we're running it mils per plant.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so it's kind of like you just take how many plants you have, and we're running between 13 and 16 mils is usually what we're running. I think it's 12 to 16, something in there. The 16 is kind of our high end, but the nice thing is a lot of guys will I know it's very common to back off how much nutrient you're putting on because a lot of guys worry about burn.
Yeah.
Our products won't do that.
Yeah. Nice.
So if you run it at your full amount, you're just going to see more growth, more heavier bud set, those kind of things.
So if you mess up, essentially, put too much, you're just going to get more.
Yeah. It might mess with your pH a little bit because we have a low pH, but there's another product we're going to start rolling out soon that if you want to adjust your pH, and we're also going to throw it in our finisher a little bit.
Nice.
So constant research and development. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it seems like the way the nutrients is moving, it's from its basic stage of just basic chemicals all the way down to more of these intricate ones.
Exactly.
And this to me screams it would be great for crop steering. And I don't know if you guys know, the industry is really headed heavily towards crop steering, especially on the indoor side. And the viewers, I've talked about crop steering many times. It's really, you're just taking the plant, and at every stage you're ensuring it gets nutrients at a certain time, a specific amount. You're allowing dry back, so the medium to dry a little bit, and then you're adding the nutrients back in until saturation, until you get a little bit of runoff. And so to me, this line is kind of catered to something like that, because
exactly.
with crop steering, you have all that data. You have the sensors inside the medium. You're able to see how much moisture is. You're able to see your ECs. You're able to see your pH, and you're able to see just essentially the growth. And with this, you can kind of be like, okay, we can put it in at this time with this, and then once we switch it tomorrow, we can change the recipe and add this. So it makes sense, especially going with something like that. Hydroponics, that would make sense too. Like the deep water culture, for them as well. But for me, this just screams crop steering, like the whole way. We were talking about crop steering a little bit before the show, and I've been dabbling with it too the past nearly a year and a half or two, and it's been an interesting journey, and something like this does seem like it would really do well in crop steering. And in New Mexico, I have seen a few kind of start to do the crop steering and head that way.
I think that's great, because I think we were talking about a little bit between that and agriculture.
Yeah.
This is agriculture on steroids.
Oh, it is. It's crazy.
It's
amazing.
But it's good though, because if they're in tune to that, those plants you're going to get the maximum amount. Something I don't think we've really stepped into is looking at the genetic potential.
Yeah.
What is the true genetic potential of these different products that we have out there? But if we can take a program like that and start tweaking it, we can push these things to the very genetic end too.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's great. And with, more stable genetics coming out and everything, the nutrient lines like this are only going to become more prevalent. Because right now we're like 50 years behind the regular agriculture industry when it comes to genetic stability. So, we have some catching up to do, but with legalization comes innovation. And that's something that I tout a lot. And this is along the lines with it. You're talking about, this is agriculture on steroids. It's and it's because I haven't seen somebody sell tomatoes a pound for $2,000.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're not here, but we're working on that.
Yeah, it'll maybe get there. Who knows? Be a damn good tomato. Better. $2,000 a pound. I can see Japan doing that, they get real bougie with their fruit.
Square.
This was in the shape of Godzilla. It's very commemorative. So I mean, it's really cool to see all these different industries collaborate and clash in the cannabis world, because before, we were stuck in these tents. You were running at 8 weeks, regardless, chopping them down at 8 weeks. You were, using these nutrients that, we were just pretty much guessing.
Yeah.
And we're pretty much just guessing when to put these nutrients too in their life, in the lifespan. And so now we're getting all this data now, we're collecting more, and now we're able to get to the point where we can get a little more intricate with our nutrients. And that's really great to see, because we're only going to see better cannabis come from that.
Something that I wanted to mention is we actually just finished a R&D trial in Central Oklahoma with a company called Bingy Buds. This company is amazing, and they were able to run on some of their genetics and some of a couple other companies, but they were all clones from them. They did a phenomenal job, and we actually got to see on these clones an increase in stem size. They looked like little trees coming out of the ground.
Oh, really?
It was amazing.
Self-supporting.
They didn't have they were self-supporting. The buds on them were just absolutely massive. I mean, it was a great trial, and we're going to start rolling that out. I'm sure it'll be on our website eventually, that we'll roll out kind of some of the research that we did on that.
Nice. That's great to hear. And, it's good to hear that you guys are still doing R&D and you're not stopping the testing.
And we try to collaborate with, like partnering with Bingy Buds and partnering with different groups to try to do some R&D, to try to get some movement through the industry with respected, people that do genetics, hunts, growers, just trying to get more input. How can we get better? How can we make the industry better?
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Nice thing about working and doing the R&D too, and myself as a formulator, we start seeing things that maybe the plant needs more of this at this stage.
Yeah.
We can start incorporating it and being more specific on the nutrient needs at that point. We've already started working on a product that you can put in conjunction with 4, 5, and 6, so that it will increase sugar development. We've been running this product in agriculture and seeing in different crops, seeing better color, higher sugar, size. So we want to bring that over and be able to incorporate that into the cannabis products, that their cannabis growth.
Yeah.
It's very important to understand. And there are many ways, we haven't got into this yet, but there are so many ways that, based on plant growth, deficiencies in a plant can be manipulated. And to understand, if you have a deficiency, many people want to focus specifically on that deficiency. But we can take products like zinc, iron, these products like that, and increase our photosynthesis at specific stages. So, if you're looking into moving into stress periods and you want that plant to be healthy during the stress period, you can manipulate by putting specific nutrients during those times. Those are things we're going to be rolling out. And we want to continue looking at R&D. To me, is like, I don't want to stop learning.
Yeah.
I don't want to be set here, because the whole industry is in one specific site. I want to be continuously growing and learning, passing that knowledge on then too.
Yeah, that's great. Because a lot of people have this idea of like, well, I have this technique of growing and I'm not sharing it with anybody. And who knows, maybe that technique could be good and it just needs, some tweaking. Maybe a little bit more studying or testing. Because there's a lot of bro science out there. When it comes to growing cannabis and growing in general, to be honest. You get those 5-minute craft videos, when they cut a banana and grow a banana tree in 2 weeks. So there's a lot of bro science out there. It's great that we're getting down to the nitty gritty, and this is a little more complex, with the ingredients that are in here, because it's not just an NPK, supplement, CalMag. CalMag's a big joke in the grower world, because a lot of dudes they'll swear on CalMag will fix the world kind of thing, so.
There's nothing wrong with ratios.
No, there's not.
Nothing wrong with ratios. But here's the thing about CalMag. Here's what we've seen. If you have adequate amount of calcium and you go and put CalMag on,
Yeah.
excessive amounts of calcium will inhibit the amount of potassium uptake.
Yeah.
And potassium uptake, that is a key to quality.
Mhm.
That is a key to stress.
Yeah.
And so you can change the ratios and make it worse than what you're trying to help it with too.
Mhm.
But you got to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
You need to understand what's going on within the plant itself too.
Yeah. Because from my experience, you can really go wrong with CalMag. You can really screw up. And so I caution people. I'm like, if you're going to use it, be very careful.
Mhm.
You could really screw your plants up, and then that can either kill it or stunt the growth, or
Exactly.
you just have low quality product in the end. So yeah, it's great that you guys are kind of focusing more on what the plant actually needs, not versus what we
Exactly.
think it needs, or what we've been led to think it needs for so long. Because science is ever changing. It doesn't stay around. It doesn't stay stagnant. There's things that are changing all the time.
Mhm.
So now we're getting into the point. Well, we're looking at cannabis, and it needs these things, but also there's these little things it needs here. And
Exactly.
if we do it at the specific time, it's going to have better intake here, and in the end, you're going to have a better product.
Mhm.
So that's great. A couple more questions for you guys. So how has it been navigating, like, starting a nutrient company? How has that been? Has it been difficult? Give me your little experience on that.
It is difficult sometimes. Yeah,
Mhm.
because we like you had said about bro science, there's a lot of that, right? There's
Yeah.
a lot of that out there, and trying to cut through that and show we do research.
Yeah.
We have experience with these formulations.
Mhm.
We understand what this plant needs. So that's been another aspect of our R&D, is so we can show not just through our knowledge, but through, we have pictures, we have testimonials, we have hard evidence that these products work.
Testing results and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's been really important for us to show, because there are a lot of products out there in the cannabis market. There's a lot. There's actually we do work with some retailers. We'll go talk to them and kind of work. And a lot of those guys, the first thing they say is, "Man, I've had 20 guys come in last week." He's like, but I can show them, "Hey, we're science backed.
Yeah.
We have this. We have So it's a process to get to kind of push into this industry and to build our own little niche.
Nice. In the community and in the industry and everything.
Exactly,
Yeah. Awesome. So where can people find you guys? Like website, social media,
Yeah, so we're on Facebook as well. And then we're going to be starting up an Instagram here pretty soon, probably here in the next week. So,
Nice.
Green Knight Nutrient Co. on Facebook, greennightnutrients.com, and then to be decided on our Instagram.
Yeah. Hopefully it stays along the lines of that, huh? And hopefully you guys don't get shut down, because you're not selling weed, you're just selling nutrients.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's something that we're kind of lucky, I guess, in that we're not selling weed. So we haven't had any emails yet about that we need to change what we're posting.
Yeah, because that's one thing that people don't understand. They don't want to do an ancillary business, but sometimes it's easier to have an ancillary business because you don't need to get licensed through the state.
Right.
You just have to have the business, and then you can help these industries and these companies out.
And we still have to go through product licensing, of course, but it's not nearly as much as what growers have to go through.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
It's incredible. Yeah.
One thing we'll do too, when we do our product licensing, because of our structure of our products, every product that we supply for the registrations, we do heavy metals tests on too.
Oh, cool.
So we make sure we are within the realms of what's required to stay within the realms of the heavy metals. We want to reduce as much as we can.
Yeah.
We're using very pure products. We're using food grade products. We're using products that are, if you put them in your food, you got to be able to ingest it and use it too. So we're trying to stay on the high end.
Yeah.
And that way, when products come to the market, we want to be a high end product.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, that's great to hear. And I wish you guys as much luck in this industry and everything going forward. And I appreciate you guys joining me. And if you like, we can stick around for a couple more minutes and have a couple more conversations.
Sure.
But again, everybody, this is Green Knight Nutrient Company. Thank you, gentlemen, again for such a great conversation.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So going on, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about bubble talk, because we talked about a bunch about nutrients. I was going to have a whole section about nutrients, but we actually pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover in our last conversation. So that's great. We meshed it together. So let's talk about the bubble talk real quick. So I don't know if you guys know, here in New Mexico, we're very saturated. We have over 1,000 retail establishments in the whole state. and just came out that Albuquerque has almost over 200 retail establishments for the whole city.
Wow.
It's more than liquor stores.
Wow.
Yeah, it's jumped over. So now in New Mexico, we've reached this point where we have too many and the bubble popped. And so now we're seeing retail locations close. People are getting bought out. People are struggling. If you go to most retail locations, most of them are slow, even the ones that are very popular. If they're busy, it's like maybe a 15-minute wait. And so at the most. And Albuquerque is the most saturated city in the state. And so they're having issues on their own. People are already, getting bought out. I just really update people every week about the bubble that's going on. So I didn't know if you guys knew about it or not, or how saturated it was here.
We've seen this before in other states, though. I mean,
Yes.
us being from California, we saw that bubble,
Yeah.
and it popped. A lot of people went out of business. It's not something you want to see. It's not something that's good for the industry. But in the long run, it will stabilize.
Yeah.
Right. It always stabilizes, and then the market will find its balance to where it can maintain itself.
And that's what I keep telling people. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is a stabilization period. And in New Mexico, we're on a fast timeline for some reason.
Yeah.
This is within almost less than a year.
Yeah.
A year just hit in April. And so, our timeline is quick. I mean, in California and Colorado and Washington, you saw this take years, to kind of happen and form. In New Mexico, 1 year.
Yeah.
It was like that. So it could have been just the fact that we saw what these other states did and like, okay, we're just going to leave it open and then let the market do its thing.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I hope that we continue to do is allow the market to do its thing. Yeah. Like you said, I don't want to see anybody go out of business, lose their money, their livelihood or anything.
Yeah.
However, this is the market that we chose to be in, and this is the consequences that come with it. And that's what we have to understand when we come in this.
I agree. I think it purifies our market too.
I do too. The people that are doing it right and doing it good, they're going to stick around.
Right.
And we're not going to be stuck with, when we were just medical, we only had 35 dispensaries in the whole state. And so that left us with some who weren't very good. And they got a nickname called the Dirty 30 because of that. And now I kind of feel we can filter some of that out. And some of those guys are starting to fail too. Some of the ones that have been here a long time. And so it's going to filter those guys out. And in the end, hopefully we'll have some really good products. Because in New Mexico, we're really getting some really good cannabis. It's really coming along. And I'm really proud, what we've done here in the state and, the way we've gone about it. But, I really appreciate your guys' input on this because you have been in other states market like Oklahoma. I mean, that market is just insane.
It is. Yeah. They recently did a moratorium on new licenses. They stopped giving out new licenses, which has affected the market there because they called it the Wild West of cannabis.
Yeah. Right? Oh, yeah, it was.
Anyone could get a license, but it had to be, I think, 60% owned, or maybe more than that even, by an Oklahoman.
Okay.
And it was like everyone was growing.
Yeah.
Everyone. I mean, there are dispensaries everywhere. And now we're starting to see kind of the same thing. It's the prices that the growers are getting are not sustainable prices.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so much influx of cannabis. And we're seeing kind of a similar thing in Oklahoma to what's going on here. Where some places are shutting down. But there are other people that are doing really well. You know, it's just kind of that finding your market and pushing into that.
Yeah, because Oklahoma's saturated in a different way. In New Mexico, we don't have a lot of water. But in Oklahoma, there's a lot of water, so like it got a little out of hand. Here, it's kind of like, well, we got a natural barrier. Like you need water to grow cannabis. If you don't have that, well, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that's kind of kept us from hitting to that tipping point where Oklahoma was, and the fact that there were so many illegal grows there, like that was crazy.
Yeah, there were a few that got in trouble for either not meeting proper standards or for shipping out of state.
And it came here, a lot of it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. Yeah, but they the Oklahoma market so far, everyone that I've met in there have been great growers, great people. So it's just there's always going to be some bad apples in the bunch. But, out there, I think that it'll stabilize just like it will here.
Yeah.
We've seen it in the older cannabis states, right? It'll all work itself out eventually.
Yeah, and then every market seems to have its stages. Like Colorado's going through another stage right now in their market. It's like another great closure, or the crushing, as I guess I heard somebody call it before. And the reason why is because Arizona, New Mexico, and Montana all legalized cannabis around the same time. So what that did is it took all of those customers from that state. However, New Mexico took Texas. We took Texas away from Colorado, and that's huge. And so Colorado is seeing a huge decline in sales because they came here. And so they're seeing another crushing. And I think we're going to see the exact same thing when one or two things happen: federal legalization or Texas legalizes. New Mexico will see another one. And like I said, we're on a faster timeline. So what Colorado's going through will happen to us a lot quicker. And for some reason, I think people are a little more experienced when it happens to other states than when they come here. So they're a little more prepared. So like the big MSOs, like the retail locations, there's some that aren't doing well. However, they're backed by so much money that they're going to be fine and they're going to be stuck and sticking around for the time being anyway, until we have more crushings come along. So yeah, and it's interesting right now because it looks like our numbers are going up, but every day, what I've been saying is with every closure, there's an opening. So with every dispensary closing, there's an opening. So we may look stabilized for a little bit or anything, but I really don't think that our numbers are really going to show for a few more months.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about what you guys think on that, but for us, it's just a weird thing because I see things opening about every day. You know, on Instagram, there's a new dispensary popping up on my feed all of the time. And, you know, I wish all of them luck, but, you know, there's just so many saturated. I think Cruces is closer to 100 dispensaries. I think we're at 70 something last month or something like that. Yeah. But now we're getting up there in the numbers. So I just wanted to, you know, update everybody on the, you know, the bubble that's going on. And I appreciate your guys' input because, you know, having that input from other states, because I've been studying all these states for years, and you know that's where I take my analysis from. Is, you know, I study the other states, and you know when someone else backs it up, like, yeah, you know, we've been here before, you know, it'll be all right. Because there's some people in the state are kind of freaking out, you know, like, oh my god, and I'm just sitting here drinking my tea while everything's on fire.
Yeah,
but that's okay. It's gonna go out.
It's already happened. It's gonna take its time,
and of course this is from us looking at it from an auxiliary perspective, right? From outside, not outsiders kind of looking in, you know, where we're still involved in the market, so we can kind of see rather than being involved in like trying to fight to keep going. We're still
chaotic.
I can imagine. And so what from our perspective, we're able to kind of look at the market as a whole, and we have to for our business, right? See what the market's looking at, what the future's looking at. How can we help growers as the market goes on? You know, how can we save them money? How can we keep them afloat,
keep the lights on.
Yeah,
exactly. And I appreciate that. And you know, if you guys again want to get in contact with these gents and you know get pricing and everything, you know, to give your information at the beginning. So but yeah, thank you for that conversation on the bubble talk. I just wanted to touch on that real quick. I wanted to talk about the High Times Cannabis Cup here in New Mexico. So if you guys know, most of the listeners know, High Times brought a cannabis cup here, and they're doing it in every state. However, they were like virtual events. And here in New Mexico, that shit doesn't fly. And so, they got attacked essentially. You know, we pretty much bullied them until they said, okay, we'll do an in-person event.
Awesome.
And this is going to be their first in-person event since COVID happened. So, you know, hopefully it'll be more to come, and they get back to the personal invites for these events, because it was a social event. You know, it was an event where you can network, where these growers can meet other growers, where they can meet nutrient companies, where they can meet breeders, you know, where growers got names, you know, where these guys got famous, you know, like, you know, a lot of these dudes, you know, they got famous at the High Times Cup, you know, because they won or because their cultivar was just so damn amazing. So I'm glad that they're doing it in person. And honestly, I think I might go because of that. Are you guys going to be in town at any time? It's in September.
Yeah, we might try to come to that. I think that'd be great for
it's in Rio Rancho.
Yeah.
And I think I think it'd be great, you know, because you're gonna be around a bunch of growers. And, you know.
It's so awesome that they're doing it in person. You know, virtual, especially looking at it from a business perspective. You know, it's like I want to be able to speak to somebody. I want to see their face. I want to, you know, talk to them and actually see what they're looking at, not just, you know, online. It's just not as, you know.
I should have had Gino put up my the memes I made about it, because they were pretty hilarious. I had like those little iPads on a stand with wheels, and like a bunch of them conjugated. It's like me and the boys having a smoke session at the High Times Cannabis Cup. And then the other one is just one showing up, and it's like me pulling up to the High Times Cannabis Cup with the iPad. So yeah, you know, like there was memes about it and everything, because I mean it just didn't make sense. And I get why they did it, you know. It was pretty much a money grab. We were like, that shit doesn't fly here though. He's like, do that somewhere else. And so it was getting a lot of backlash. And so I'm glad they did that. They listened to the community, and that's a big step in the right direction. I think for High Times, because I kind of feel they've fallen off in the community, you know, and the community has seen it itself. Even on Instagram, if you look at their posts, like, oh, how much did you guys get paid for this one now? But one thing I do want to say is, if you remember their magazines, they had a lot of ads in them back in the day.
Right.
So, they had to keep the lights on somehow. So I get it, but at the same time, like, they've always had ads, high times. There's always been random shit in there. But now it's just on Instagram and you have to look at one post. And so now it's just annoying. So I get it, but I get both arguments. So if you guys want to purchase a judge's kit, there's going to be judges kits available at different locations around the whole state. Here in Las Cruces, there's a couple of places. I don't know them off the top of my head. But if you look at the High Times website, I'm sure it tells you all the locations. I do know they're discounted right now. For flour, you do get an ounce, and it's different samples. I think they're gram samples or something like that, or maybe half gram samples. And it goes, the vapes and all that stuff, the different sizes and comparisons. But I think the cheapest one was like the salve. I think it was like $50 or something like that. So if you guys want to pick up a judge kit, this is one of the first times that, High Times is doing this, where anybody and everybody can be a judge. Normally you had to be a select, few to be a judge, and it was like the few and the proud. But now everybody can. So I think that was part of their platform for the digital thing. I don't know if they'll go back to, having exclusive judges that they pick after something like this, but we'll see going on. What do you guys think about that?
Having everyone as
Yeah,
part of
yeah,
the
yeah,
thing?
everyone,
Oh,
yeah.
man, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, then you get everyone's opinion rather than just, a small, few
Small
guys that they
niche.
handpick,
Yeah.
Because, if you got 5, 10 people judging a competition, it's not going to be, it's just like statistics, right?
Yeah.
It's like you have a larger group, you're going to have better
results.
Yeah. More accurate, what people are actually wanting.
Yeah.
I think people have different tastes too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, definitely.
it opens up, for a variety of things too.
Yep.
Yeah, because I mean, like, what one person likes in terpenes, I may hate in terpenes,
exactly,
or it may affect me in a negative way or something.
Yeah.
So that's great that we get a bigger pool, pool size. Yeah, because before it was such a small panel, and some of these people were bougie, and then they wanted like best of the best. Like, I love terpenes,
Right.
Yeah.
The cannabis doesn't have good terpenes, I'm probably going to vote a no on it, or give it a low ranking or whatever, however they do it. So yeah, I think it's great. How is it going to play out? I have no clue. We'll see. The submission's already happened. It's already too late to submit your own cannabis, but it's not too late to get a judge's pack. So we'll see what happens, with this whole thing, and where they go with this.
Yeah.
And hopefully High Times. Hopefully you continue to promote the in-person events like this, because this was beneficial to the industry.
It is.
It is.
Especially to gents like you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so.
We
Yeah.
make contacts at events like this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
That's how you guys. That's how we network. It's a
Yeah,
That
networking
is.
thing.
It's a networking thing. It's fun.
Yeah.
And it's also business. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't get better than that.
No, you can't. Like, that's why I like going to expos and stuff, because it's fun. I get free shit, but I also meet all of these
Yeah.
cool
Yeah.
different people
Yeah.
and businesses. And you make these different connections and contacts, and so
Mhm.
yeah, that's what these are about. You just don't get that on a digital platform.
Right.
No.
Yeah. Like it's something like Instagram is its own thing, and it's not meant for convention stuff.
Yep.
Convention stuff are meant for in person, not for like Zoom. Just to let you guys know, I don't know how much the tickets are. I couldn't find any information on that. Once more information comes, I'll probably share it. But if you guys know, let me know. I have no clue how much the tickets are to attend. But I do know you get like a 30% discount if you get a judge's pack or something like that. So that's all the information I have on that. The last thing I want to talk about, and you guys can chime in on this for me or with me, and this is kind of important. So Congress kind of reacts to the federal government and their timeline of. So if you guys don't know, I guess I should just give you the whole lowdown. So President Biden instructed Human Services, the Health Human Services, and the Department of Justice to carry on to do some researching on the scheduling of cannabis, like a review. And so he did that months ago. And now we kind of got an update of where they're at. And so it looks right now they're going to give us an update or give us their decision by the end of the year. And that could be huge.
Yeah.
If we get a decision at the end of the year that removes cannabis from scheduling altogether, that means we're federally legal, and we're going to see a crushing a lot sooner than I thought. Because I said that the other crushing is going to happen with federal legalization or Texas goes, because federal legalization, there's just regulations that people aren't ready for, and they're not even thinking about right now. And they probably should, because this right here is telling us that we possibly have until the end of the year to get our shit together. And if you guys don't know what I mean, there's regulations that we have to deal with now when it comes to federal law. will have to pay federal taxes. Of course, it'll be a lot lower, and you'll be able to do other things. However, you have the DEA to deal with, you have the FDA to deal with, you have all these other ones to deal with. So, and then you have their regulations that go into it. So that's what I mean. And this is really important to know this, because once we go federal, it's a whole different ballgame. That means we're going to have interstate commerce. Other states are going to be able to sell to each other. And in New Mexico, we already have that in our statute. It states clear as day that once the federal laws change and 2 governors agree, we can have interstate commerce with those states. So we most likely would buy from Colorado or Arizona, and California, et cetera, et cetera. So that's another thing. So, that's going to change our market significantly, because then we're going to have not just New Mexico competing with the whole damn nation. And that's going to be interesting. However, I don't see every state being able to grow cannabis like other states do. Like New Mexico, we can do 2 harvests a year. We can grow a lot of cannabis here. California, they can grow a lot of cannabis. Arizona, they can grow a lot of cannabis. Colorado, they can grow quite a bit of cannabis, but it gets pretty damn cold there. So you have these other states. Texas, they can probably grow a shit ton of cannabis. A lot of cannabis. So you have these other southern states that might take over the nation's production for the most part, and we might end up with a lot of microbrew kind of stuff in other states, select areas. That's why when we pushed for recreational cannabis, I really pushed for micros, the micro businesses, because you look at the alcohol industry and you have Bud Light, you have Budweiser, you have all these guys. But you also have the microbrews, the things that are local. You have Santa Fe Brewery, you have, Toad Creek here in Cruces. And so you have those guys, and that's going to look the same in our landscape too. And I kind of feel that, some people are kind of thinking that they're going to be number 1 in the nation. That's going to be really hard, especially if we go federally legal right now, because we're still getting set up in New Mexico. And that's going to be an interesting thing. What is your guys' thoughts on it? I know I kind of babbled on, but I just want to give everybody.
So there's a lot to that, but I think that, and of course, I'm no expert on federal regulations versus state regulation, anything like that. But I think in the long run, it's going to be a good thing. Just for the market as a whole, it's going to be good. Obviously, interstate commerce is going to be amazing. Not having to deal with legality issues on the federal level, that's gonna be great. Right? But looking at it from potential negative side of that is federal regulation could come down and completely change what the states have already put in place.
100%.
And looking at it from that perspective, that's a little bit of it's a wild card. Who knows what they're gonna do there, right? They may just be, okay, each state decides it's the federal government. They probably won't do that.
They're
They're probably going to start heavily regulating what each state does and how they work. So it's up in the air. I don't know.
And we don't either. And I guess we'll find out. So what it says is, once HHS finalizes its review, it'll send the scheduling recommendations to the DEA, which makes its final call. So the DEA is pretty much the one making the call. And my worry is them not removing it from scheduling altogether and then just moving it down a couple of scheduling, and that will really screw the industry so much that the state's programs will pretty much end. And I don't want that. So that's my worry. I don't know what we can do other than contacting your representatives and letting them know that you want it removed from scheduling altogether, because your state representatives, they can talk to DEA representatives in DC and kind of get into their mind on it, and like, hey, look, if we're going to do it this way, this and this, and it looks like the DEA and HHS and all these 3-letter agencies essentially that are in charge of this. It looks like they're reviewing it fair for the most part, but we'll see when towards the end of the year when we get our final decision, I guess. And when I say final decision, it makes me remind me of my VA letter decision from like the VA. It's like, oh, here's your final decision. So we'll see what happens. I hope we just get removed from scheduling altogether. What's you guys' final thoughts on that?
I hope it goes through the right way.
I do too.
That was my thought too. Is like, are we prepared for it? Really, I think it's going to be best to be prepared for what is up and coming too.
Definitely. And this is something big. And if you guys aren't prepared, or you're not starting to get prepared, you might want to think about getting prepared for federal legalization and what you need to do, because this is a sign that this year may change a lot of things. So yeah, and that's everything I have. You guys have anything for the rest of the show? You want to share anything?
This was awesome. I appreciate you having us on.
Yeah,
appreciate you guys.
This was fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate the conversation, and I wish you guys luck, and
Thank you.
can't wait to see you guys out there.
Awesome.
you.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Why don't you guys go ahead and take us out of here? Do the outro.
I know the outro, bro.
Just say thanks for watching and say your name, whatever.
Thanks for watching. I'm Dustin Hennessy with Green Knight Nutrient Co.
And I'm Keith Hennessy. Thank you very much.
All right, guys.